What's up, you guys? Welcome back to the Sweat Symbol podcast. In the spirit of full transparency, I have recorded the start of this episode multiple times now. Usually I am a one-take show, but I'm recording on a Sunday today. My whole family is coming into town this week, so I'm getting ahead on some work, so I can really enjoy my time here when they're in Denver. And I think it's just like the change in the day that I'm recording, but my brain is just not up to speed. But I'm showing up and doing it anyways because I often tell my clients, like, I don't want you being perfect. I don't want you taking perfect action. I just want you to still show up. So that's what I'm doing today. This podcast episode might not be perfect. It might be a little bit slower than my typical podcast, but I'm still showing up because it's really important to me to get these consistent episodes out to you guys every single week. I set a goal to do that at the start of this year, and we are sticking with it no matter what the episode ends up looking like. So today, though, we are talking about a topic that I am really excited about because it's something that I see a lot of people struggling with, especially when they come to start working with me in coaching. And if you're a millennial like me, you probably grew up in the clean plate club era. Like, you had parents who said in order to leave the dinner table or in order to get dessert, you had to finish what was on your plate. You couldn't have any of those like extra little bites left, or they like encouraged you like, okay, just eat a little bit more of this broccoli and then you can have the ice cream. Or I want you to finish just like a little bit more and then you can get up and be done. And maybe they even use the shtick like my parents, like, there's starving kids in Africa. Like, you need to finish what's on your plate. And I know that our parents had the best intentions, but the truth is that by forcing you to clear your plate when you were saying that you were done for whatever reason, what it really did was create the inability to listen to our hunger cues. And instead of stopping when we were truly full, we became accustomed to always having to clear our plate. And especially like our parents, they were the authority figure. Like, they were telling us we needed to finish our plate. So we got it in our mind, in order to eat successfully, we had to clear our plate. And this has probably continued into your adult life. Like, have you noticed that you sometimes eat until you're uncomfortably full because it just doesn't feel right to leave a few bites of something on your plate? Like, you are so full, but there's like 3 to 4 pieces of pasta left and you just eat them purely because you feel like you can't leave them. Like, you can't put that in the trash can. You can't put that in the garbage disposal. You have to fully clear your plate. Maybe you notice that you always have to finish your meal at a restaurant. Like, you see it coming and you're like, that is a huge portion, but you just can't seem to stop. You have to clear your full plate. Do you just never actually check in with your hunger cues, and instead you truly just keep eating until your bowl or plate is clean and empty? This is so common, but the truth is that it's making weight loss a heck of a lot harder. You're no longer using your hunger cues to guide you, and you're probably not even sure what level of portions would keep you full anymore. You're eating certain portions out of habit rather than true hunger and fullness. And if you have long-term fat loss goals, like, you are not in this for a quick fix, but you want to lose weight and keep it off for good, you're done with the yo-yo dieting, then getting back in touch with your hunger cues is such an important part of that successful weight loss journey. This is actually why it's such a big focus in Crush Your Consistency, my 8-week group coaching program that is opening its doors for another round soon, because it is crucial for long-term sustainable weight loss. Like, how can you ever expect to maintain your weight loss long-term if you're always just completely bypassing or ignoring your hunger cues? Being able to actually stop eating when you're full, get comfortable leaving food on your plate, and eating more mindfully is crucial for that long-term success. And honestly, this might be where you're struggling right now. If you feel like you have been stuck in that cycle of being successful for a few weeks and then something comes up and it all falls apart, or maybe you've lost the weight, but then as soon as you try and go into maintenance, you gain it all back. The reason being is because if you're only focused on calories, like, I am so proud of the fitness industry and how far we've come, and that we now understand that like restriction is not the answer, and you're probably past that. And you probably are starting to have a better understanding of the fact that you need to be in a calorie deficit, and maybe you need to have a little bit more awareness about the calories and how much you're consuming. But there's become such an emphasis on that if you're only focused on calories, you're not setting yourself up for the things that are going to make weight loss and, as a byproduct, hitting your calories actually start to feel easier long term, which is exactly why I created Crush Your Consistency. Like, I haven't seen a program out there that, yes, helps you lose weight and helps you understand more about calorie counting, but also helps you navigate and create these long-term habits that are not just only about hitting your calories, but are things that are going to help weight loss feel a heck of a lot easier long term. Because it's not just about hitting your calories. Hitting your calories is going to continue to feel hard if you feel like you have to finish everything that's on your plate all the time. Versus if you can start to get in touch with your hunger cues, hunger and fullness cues, and you can start to feel comfortable leaving food on your plate, all of a sudden, not just losing weight, but maintaining your weight loss long term is going to start to feel a lot easier. So I want you to start working through some of these things right now so that weight loss can start feeling more manageable for you as well. So the first step to getting back in touch with your hunger cues is to eat more mindfully. It's really time to start slowing down and bringing more awareness to what you're doing in the moment. And the first way to go about that is to slow down the actual process of eating. Raise your hand if you have just demolished your plate without even really tasting what was on it. That is so common, but I want to challenge you to go slow, to really chew and savor every bite, to physically put your fork down in between bites. If you're out to a meal with a friend, be present in the conversation. Like, just slow it down. Give yourself time to process if you're actually still hungry. And along with that, it can be really helpful to actually take a pause mid-meal as you're starting to get back in touch with your hunger cues. So the end goal is that over time, you're so in touch with your fullness cues that you can identify when you're feeling full and just stop eating. But if you're not doing that right now, if you have always been part of the Clean Plate Club and you're someone who just tends to keep eating without even thinking about it until you finished everything on your plate, you're going to have to be a little bit more intentional about it to start to bring more awareness to your fullness cues. So something that can help is setting that pause for yourself. So when you are about halfway through your meal, stop eating. Think and assess, how are you feeling? If you're feeling pretty comfortably full, how would you feel if you finished your plate? Would that lead to you being uncomfortably full? So just sit and take that pause. And this is especially important when you're out to eat. Like, many of my Crush Your Consistency girls realized during the program that they're actually full on a much smaller portion than what they've been eating out of habit. Like, restaurant portions are typically pretty large. And let's say you're someone who, every time you go out to eat, you tend to just finish your entire giant sandwich and all the fries because that's how much you've always eaten. And you feel like you need to eat that in order to be full and satisfied. But when you start to take these pauses and you start to get more in tune with your hunger cues, you might actually realize that you're full on about half of that. And instead of leaving the restaurant uncomfortably full, feeling really lethargic because you ate so much, you're actually just feeling like normal. And how you feel after a restaurant meal doesn't feel all that different as a meal that you made at home. So I'm going to challenge you to pause for about 5 to 10 minutes when you reach that halfway point in your meal. Or maybe it's the 3/4 point for you. Just pause before you finish that whole plate and give yourself 5 to 10 minutes. Ask yourself if you're still hungry. Are you comfortably full? If you kept eating, would that lead to you being uncomfortably full? Allow yourself to take that pause, that opportunity, just to check in with yourself and start to build more awareness towards your hunger and fullness cues. Now, if you're still hungry after you take that pause, you can absolutely keep eating. The goal of this is not to restrict and not finish your meal if you're actually truly hungry. The goal is just to allow yourself to start to bring more awareness to this and actually check in if you're truly still hungry or if you're just eating and finishing your plate out of habit. So I really want you to take that opportunity to pause and assess. Now, like I said, over time, the goal is that these things will start to become second nature. And the more you do them, truly, the more they will be. You'll be able to start to identify your hunger and fullness cues more, and you'll have a much better understanding of what a proper portion size actually looks like for your body. So again, going back to that example, like I said, maybe you notice now that half a sandwich and half your fries actually keeps you full as opposed to the whole thing. Like you don't need this big giant portion that you once needed, and you're able to leave meals feeling a lot more comfortably than you have in the past. And this is so important, again, because this is where we really start to build those habits for long-term sustainable weight loss. Maybe because you realize that half a sandwich and half your fries keeps you full, that's now your go-to. Now every time you go out to eat, you're stopping at that halfway point and you're realizing that you're full and you're not finishing everything. And you're just naturally eating more and portion sizes that are more in line with your goals and what's right for your body. Every single time you go out to eat. And as you could imagine, that is a really powerful tool for maintaining your weight. These meals out or whenever this overeating is happening is no longer the norm. These meals don't have to be big splurges. They start to feel like just normal meals because you have gotten so good at understanding what that looks like for your body and how to identify when you're full and ready to stop eating. There's no more of that uncomfortable feeling. You're not, feeling lethargic after a meal. You're truly just able to naturally stop at a point that feels really good to you, which again is so key for long-term maintenance. Like so often we assume we just need more willpower and we just need to be more consistent, but consistency feels really hard if you're not doing the underlying work to make this feel easy. Like, think about how easy weight loss would feel if you're able to recognize your fullness cues, if you didn't feel the need to finish everything on your plate, if you were okay taking leftovers home and eating them later on. Like, truly think about how much easier all of this would feel. You wouldn't need that constant willpower and constantly gritting through every meal and craving. It would all just start to feel so easy. And these are the things that you have to work on to lay the foundation for long-term fat loss. It's not just about, calories. If you want long-term sustainable change, you have to start doing the work to get back in touch with your hunger and fullness cues, along with the other habits that are going to make this sustainable long-term. So truly, it is time to ditch the Clean Plate Club. I promise this is possible for you. I have seen many women and helped them work through it so that they are just feeling like all of this is so much easier. And that is my goal, for you to ditch the beliefs, ditch the habits that you grew up in that are no longer serving your long-term goals, and start to identify what's really important for you and your own habits moving forward. So I hope at this point you're feeling like you have a better understanding of how to slow down and eat more mindfully. If you have any questions on any of this, please shoot me a DM. I am here to help. But in general, I always appreciate you guys listening so much. It's time to ditch the Clean Plate Club. Let me know in my DMs when you feel like you have done that, when you are comfortable leaving food on your plate, because I know that that can be such an amazing, rewarding feeling. Like that first time that you step away from the table and you left food, or you're comfortable throwing food out, or you even just bring leftovers home, honestly, you can feel really proud, especially if it's something you have never ever done before. So when that happens to you for the first time, please reach out, let me know. I really want to hear from you. But thank you guys so much for being here, and I'll talk to you next week.